It was raining, the kind of soft, steady drizzle that made the world look like a memory. The cafe smelled like roasted dreams and fresh mistakes. He spotted her before she saw him. Mira, sitting by the window, chin resting on her hand, her coffee untouched. The glass between them fogged with the breath of the city. Her eyes were distant, as if chasing something her heart had already lost. He walked in, heart pounding, pretending it was just another day. But when he sat down and she looked up, those eyes, they weren't the same. There was a stillness in her smile, like a pause in a poem just before the pain. Then she said it, low and calm. "You really want to know why girls cheat?" No anger, no blame, just those 8 words, floating in the air, soft as a sigh, but heavy enough to split the ground beneath him. He blinked, confused. Was this a joke? A trap? Or something worse, the truth? He let out a shaky laugh, the kind people make when their heart skips for the wrong reasons. "You're joking, right?" he asked, trying to catch the light in her eyes, but it was gone, like a candle after a storm. She didn't flinch, didn't blink. Her lips curved slightly, not into a smile, but into something unreadable. That's when it hit him. She wasn't playing. This wasn't some dramatic story from her friend's love life, or a test to make him jealous. She meant it. "Yeah," she said softly, as if it was nothing. "I thought you deserved to know." And suddenly, the cafe didn't feel warm anymore. His coffee tasted bitter, his hands cold. She sat there perfectly calm, like a storm that had already passed through everything. And before he could even ask what happened or why, she leaned back and whispered, "The real question is, do you want to hear the answer?" He stared at her, completely still, like a statue carved out of disbelief. Part of him wanted to laugh again, pretend this was all just a misunderstanding. But the look in her eyes, it froze every lie he was about to tell himself. She leaned forward, her voice almost a caress, almost a dagger. "We don't cheat for fun," she said, her fingers wrapping gently around her cup like she was holding something breakable. "We cheat when we feel forgotten." The words sliced through the air, soft, slow, and cruelly beautiful. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. She smiled faintly and said, "Sometimes we cheat just to feel seen again, to remember we're more than someone's habit." And in that moment, her sadness wasn't loud. It was elegant, like a love letter written in disappearing ink. Her eyes didn't ask for pity. They asked for understanding, but all he could feel was the sound of his own heartbeat and the truth crashing through the silence. He finally found his voice, but it came out in pieces. "Wait, did you?" The sentence dangled, unfinished, like a bridge that led nowhere. Her eyes didn't waver. "Yes," she said, like she was confessing to something simple, like forgetting her keys, not breaking a heart. "With someone who looked at me like I was magic, not a checkbox on his to-do list." Her words didn't shout. They didn't need to. They dripped, like slow rain through a ceiling you never fixed. He wanted to protest, to remind her of their laughs, their long drives, the promises whispered beneath moonlight. But suddenly, they all felt like lies dressed in love. She stirred her coffee, smiled without joy, and said, "You can't blame a starving person for eating when someone finally offers them bread." And just like that, the room felt colder. He was no longer the one betrayed, but the one who made betrayal feel necessary. He sat there, stunned, reaching for words like a drowning man reaching for driftwood. "But I never stopped loving you," he whispered, eyes wide, voice shaking. She looked at him gently, almost kindly. "I know," she said. "But love isn't enough when it's silent." He blinked. "Silent?" She nodded, her gaze far away. "You loved me like a routine, like brushing your teeth, like charging your phone." A pause. A smile, sad and sweet. "I needed fireworks. You gave me alarms." The truth hurt more because it was soft. She wasn't angry. She was tired. He remembered all the nights he thought she was fine because she didn't cry. All the texts he left on read. All the "I'll call you later" that turned into never. And now, he wasn't sitting across from a cheater. He was sitting across from a girl who had begged the silence to love her back. He tried to swallow the ache building in his chest. "You could have told me," he said, almost pleading. "I would have changed." But she only looked at him with that same soft sorrow, like she'd already heard those words in 100 dreams that never came true. "I did," she whispered. Not with words, but with everything else. Her late-night calls, her quiet glances, the way she used to wait for his attention like it was a miracle she no longer believed in. He thought she was fine because she didn't shout, because she smiled. But now he saw it. Every smile had been a silent scream. "It wasn't about another guy," she continued. "It was about another version of me. The one I used to love before I started fading." Her voice trembled, not from guilt, but from memory. And he realized she didn't cheat to destroy them. She cheated because she had already been abandoned. Just more politely. He sat back, stunned, as if someone had replaced the girl he loved with a stranger who knew everything he never wanted to hear. "But if he meant nothing?" he asked softly. "Why did you go to him?" Her eyes flickered, pain passing through them like a shadow across the sun. "Because he listened," she said. "Not just to my voice, but to the silence I carried." There was no drama in her tone, just truth, raw and simple. "He looked at me like I wasn't a checklist, like I was still blooming, not already picked and placed in a dusty vase." Her fingers traced the rim of her cup, and for a moment, she seemed lost in a memory that made her both smile and flinch. "It wasn't about love," she said. "It was about being noticed." And in that moment, he understood something painful. You can lose someone not because you hurt them, but because you made them feel invisible. He lowered his gaze, ashamed, not just of what she did, but of what he didn't do. All those moments she reached out without words, and he missed them. "I thought you were just tired," he murmured. She gave a quiet laugh, almost musical, almost heartbreaking. "I was," she said, "tired of explaining how I felt in a language you never tried to learn." There was no cruelty in her voice, only exhaustion dressed as grace. He looked up at her, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't see a girlfriend. He saw a ghost of the girl she used to be. "You always told me I was strong," she added, "but strength doesn't mean I didn't bleed. It just means I bled, quietly." And with that, the air between them shifted, not like a storm, no, like the end of one. That stillness, that aching stillness. When there's nothing left to destroy, only things to understand. He was shaking now, barely holding himself together. "So, what happens now?" His voice cracked like a broken promise. She took a long breath, steadying herself, as if she had already braced for his next question. "Now," she said softly, "we face what we became." The weight of her words hung in the air, thick and full of sorrow. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She wasn't even offering an explanation anymore. She had already accepted something he wasn't ready to, that their love had passed, like a season that had come and gone, leaving only memories and things unsaid. "I'm not asking you to fix it," she added, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm asking you to see it. To see that I wasn't just your girl. I was someone who wanted to be seen as more." The silence between them wasn't bitter. It was quiet acceptance. And in that moment, he realized the hardest thing to fix isn't a broken heart. It's a broken connection. One you never even knew was slipping away. He stared at her, eyes wide, lost in the quiet of her words. The weight of what she said was too much to carry at once, yet he felt it settling, in his bones. "What now?" he asked again, but this time it wasn't out of desperation, it was out of understanding. She looked up at him, her eyes clear, as if she had already walked through this moment 1,000 times before. "Now," she said, "we let it go." The words were final, soft but unyielding. "Let it go?" he repeated, almost laughing, almost crying. She nodded, a sad smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is release each other from what we were, so we can become what we need to be. And just like that, he felt it. The last piece of her slipping away, like sand through his fingers. Not in anger, not in pain, just in quiet, bittersweet peace. "I'll always care for you," she added, her voice a quiet echo. But sometimes, love isn't about staying. It's about knowing when to leave, without looking back. What we learned today. Through this immersive English story, we explored real vocabulary, experienced grammar and context, and practiced emotional listening. We paid attention to sentence structure, natural pronunciation, and absorbed storytelling-based comprehension. All of this builds fluency and confidence in real-world English use, not just learning the language, but feeling it,